All right. So this is the start of the recording. Uh, just how I've been doing. It's not gonna be uploaded till tomorrow. I'm doing this live because that's just the way I like to do my shit. I'm gonna be talking about the movie The Marvels because I just watched it today. And for the first time ever while watching like a movie, I actually took. They're very poorly written, but I took notes of like moments and stuff. And very, very, very poorly written because I was just trying to scribble it down as few words as fast as possible so I could focus on like seeing the movie. Um, because I hadn't seen it, and then so I was gonna watch something else. I was going to keep on watching Echo, the show Echo on Disney Plus for the character Echo, but when I saw that they had the Marvels, I decided to watch that instead. And so I want to do this and record it and whatnot because I've been enjoying recording things and uploading them. But there is chat on the sides. I've got some people already in chat, some associates and whatnot. So I'm sure they'll be if either of them are familiar with the movie, I'm sure they'll be chiming in from time to time throughout it. I'll be playing some Call of Duty while I talk about the different points. I've got I've got I've got it ready to go. I'm gonna put my notes over here so that way I can just kind of look at them and not have to pause the game. Um, and it's yeah, it's gonna be kind of like an overview of like events in the movie and talking about them and whatnot. Oh, I think it should be fun. I'm hoping that it's gonna be fun for me. So yeah, let me see. What's my volume at right now on the music? It's at 12. Oh, two. That puts it down to one. No, it's too low. Okay, then I was at 10. 10's better. Okay. Let's go back over to the games, and as you see, it's that way you can be told what movie I'm talking about. We'll just have the thing at the bottom. Uh, I'm a big Marvel geek. Read a lot of comics and know a lot of lore, so I can help with that. I just haven't seen the Marvels yet. That's cool. Um, oh yeah, I've seen like everything. I just didn't go to the theaters to see the Marvels. I was like, no, I'm good. Um, although now I kind of regret it after watching it. So basically, to kick it off, I kind of, whenever I decided to get out a notepad and start writing down notes, it was already like a good little bit into the movie. So my first note just says Fury cool, and so that's basically in this movie. This seems like Fury, because in Secret Invasion in the Secret Invasion show, which was Fury's show, he he was a lot different than what he had been prior. He was a little, I don't know. He was just different. He didn't feel like the Fury that you've seen in the movies and shit up until that point. So he felt. Wait, what? No, I'm playing solo. I don't want to play with somebody else. That was my fault. I fucked up on that. Um. So in this movie, it feels like Fury's kind of back to his. It feels like he's back to his like kind of roots, I guess I'd say, because like he I don't know. He's got the quick wit. He's got the shit talking. The like no bullshit attitude. He's more jovial. So it seems like a big return to form for Fury as a character in the movies. And I was there for that. I was really down with that. And very early on, there you see a shot. It cuts to your main villains. I honestly didn't was never able to understand what they were saying when they said the main villain's name. Um, so okay, the main villain's name is Dar-Benn. they were an okay villain throughout the movie. They were all right, pretty typical, pretty typical villain, typical motivations, all that'll come back later. Um, but we see that they're on this planet, moon, whatever, and they're mining. They're from the Kree, and it ends up being that they were in the search of the Bangles from Kamala Khan from the Ms. Marvel show. They were in the search of the Bangles, because they understand that they were a legendary item that apparently were responsible for creating the entire jump network that we see that we've been seeing in Marvel ever since the first Guardians movie. Apparently the Bangles are what were used to create those points, which is interesting. Very interesting. And so they're digging and they find one. They find what would be the second Bangle, and they're confused because they understand that they were made as a pair. So the main villain's like, oh, where's another one? Where would the other one be? And then we cut over to Kamala and whatnot. They cut over to Kamala, and then and she's going about her thing, and it's basically showing us what was the end credit scene of the Ms. Marvel show. It cuts to what was the end credit scene of the Ms. Marvel show, and where Kamala's using her powers, and Captain Marvel swaps places with her, and so then it's Captain Marvel, and basically it just goes and shows okay, so it sets up the premise of the show of the movie pretty much, or the main thing of the movie, which is that these characters are swapping places for some reason. You don't fully learn till later why they're switching places, but it ends up being that they swap places whenever they use their powers at the same time. They figured that out pretty quickly. And so then there's a fight scene where Kamala gets swapped with Captain Marvel, and Goose, the cat from Captain Marvel, the Flurkin cat tentacle mouth monster thing, eats some bad guys and then gets teleported back then they swap places all again, and Kamala gets teleported back to her parents' house with Goose, who then pukes up the things, and then they're attacking them, and the guys wake up, and then they start attacking Kamala and her family, blah 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 blah. Some more place swapping happens, and it's a whole fight thing, a whole fight sequence, fighting these two guys that got accidentally put out on Earth in Kamala's house, in her parents' house. It's a pretty cool fight. It's a pretty cool fight sequence, because you get to see some pretty. Kamala gets to let some pretty good action off. It's pretty cool. Her fight scenes are pretty good in the movie. Maybe could have been a bit better, maybe not. It's hard to really say. I'm not a fight choreographer. I think that they looked pretty good. There were some times where it was a little meh. Because sometimes it feels like why is Kamala such a good fighter? Because she's going up against alien soldiers, and somehow is able to stand her ground. It kind of feels a little weird. It's where did she get this training? How is she able to be combat wise on par with these other people, considering the fact that the Marvel's movie basically takes place right after. Cool. Thanks. basically, it. I don't. It's. There's never really, since the movie takes place right after the end of the Miss Marvel show, like literally right after. It's. It doesn't answer. There's no time gap, so it's not like Kamala still is. She's just got her powers within days, and yet is already fighting with her powers on par with alien soldiers and like seasoned like fighting like veterans like Rambo and Captain Marvel. So that could be like a nitpick issue, but it's an issue. It's an issue that it was something that I would call an issue nonetheless, because it doesn't make sense that she'd have any sort of fighting skills with how short of a time period she's had with her powers. It just doesn't add up, you know. Yeah, this shit is like lagging my game, recording and playing at the same time and streaming. I don't know. I might have to play something else that's easier for the computer. So yeah. So then slowly everybody gets a little bit closer. Because oh my god, this is fucking with me. They're slowly getting like closer and closer to each other location-wise, while still like the teleporting still happening. And it basically, after the fight sequence with the two, yeah, this is not gonna work out. Playing this while trying to do the talking, because the game is like lagging. It's like at a delay for some reason. But yeah, so after the fight sequence, Fury and Rambo show up at Kamala's house, and they're trying to talk with her, figure this stuff out. And they're talking about the powers and whatnot, and Kamala's like, "Oh, I'll show you my powers." She goes to use them, and she swaps places with Carol. So then Carol goes to, she's like, "Oh shit, Kamala's in like a dangerous spot." She goes flying back towards wherever it was, and as she's flying, she swaps places with Kamala again. So then Kamala's falling from the sky, and Fury's like, "Rambo, you gotta save her. You gotta fly." Blah 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 blah. Rambo, she uses her powers, flies, but she realizes that like while flying, she can't catch Kamala while flying, because her flying makes her like intangible. So then Kamala activates her ability, encases the two of them, and then another swap happens. Blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So then they're at the main. So then Kamala and Rambo are at the main villain's place. They're talking with her, figuring out her plan. They see that she has the other bangle. She has a bangle, or the other bangle, and right as the main villain, who's one of like one of the Kree, has one of those like the hammers like Ronan the Executioner had from the first Captain Marvel, or no, from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. She's about to use it on them. Captain Marvel comes in, stops her, blah blah blah. They have like a short little fight, you know. But it is what it is. Then you got what's that? They come in, or then so they're all there, and then so from that point on, they're together as a group, and there's all that. They have that whole thing, and then they realize that like, okay, well, we got to work together. We got to get a handle on this switching shit, you know. If we're gonna be able to if we're gonna work together and be able to use our powers, we got to have a handle on this. So then that goes into what my next note is, because it's whenever it was. So they have a training sequence, which is pretty cool. Training sequence of them like doing different things while doing different things while using their powers and switching. So like throwing a ball up and catching it, doing jump rope, and just things in general. And it was a really cool sequence. So that was pretty cool. And then you see there's you then they also see that like there was some sort of like mysterious organism. It's these like mysterious this mysterious organism was found in the ship, like just in a random vent by some workers on the space station, the one that Fury is on and whatnot, Saber or whatever. So that's a thing. And then Kamala's parents were apparently Fury brought Kamala's family, her parents and her brother, up to the space station, and her mom tells Fury that like it seems like he's overfeeding Goose the cat. He's acting weird or whatever. So he's like, oh, okay. Oh, I also had a. Oh yeah, I did write this because it was like something from the beginning. Early on in the movie, there's like a sequence done as like sketch drawings, which was pretty interesting to watch. It's pretty cool, pretty different. Um, so that was pretty much all there is for that. So then the next note is that they went to a planet that they went to a planet that their language was song. You had to sing unless or else they don't understand what you're saying if it's not sung. So that was an interesting planet. Um there was a prince on the planet who the actor looked familiar. So I wrote that down. I wrote Prince actor to remind myself to look up who the actor was. I looked it up. I don't know why he looked familiar because he isn't from anything that I've ever seen. I thought he might have been the same guy who played Zorro on that live action One Piece, but it was not the same guy. So I am racist. Um, then there's like a little scene where to communicate with the guy, the prince, because apparently Captain Marvel is a princess on this planet. She apparently is married or whatever to the prince or some shit. It's whatever. In the movie, it's kind of just like glossed over. It's very weird. But they have a sequence where like she's trying to ask for his help, and so she has to sing to talk to him, and her like almost like this weird magic bull. Like it's like it's not explained at all at all. They're in regular clothes. Then it changes to she changes into a like a dress that's like themed after her like superhero suit, which is a really it would look really cool and it was interesting. But then and then it puts her back into her normal clothes, and then they ask, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna need your help. We're gonna need better we're gonna need basically like battle clothes. So that's cool. Then there's a short. It cuts to a short thing where more organisms, or no, the organism might be an egg, and like 40 more of them were discovered on the ship. So there's that, and then it cuts back to the other people, and they got new costumes, which they looked phenomenal. The new designs on their costumes looked amazing, looked great. Like actually looked really really good. Let's see. Let's bring it up. The Marvels new suits. So they're like, yeah, their updated suit designs, amazing. I mean, Captain Marvel's still looks pretty basic, pretty on par with her previous her other stuff, you know. Um, yeah. Monica's looks amazing. It looks amazing. The color, the black and white looks great. It looks awesome. You know, because her color scheme has always been like a more black and white, so that looks amazing. And Kamala's, her like her thing actually works now because like they get these clothes from an alien planet, so no shit hers is gonna look good. Her her Miss Marvel outfit looked good. Like this looks good. It looks great, but it's like her mother made it, and it's like it does not make sense for it to look this good and this Like it doesn't make sense for it to look how it does if it was just made by her mom. I thought that was one thing that I had an issue with whenever she first got her suit in her show. It was very it didn't make sense that like how did her mom make this? Because it looks like it's made out of like high grade materials. So it just didn't make sense. But then this like looks, cool. She doesn't have the mask, which is kind of meh. That's part of the outfit. So like why doesn't she have the mask? Um but yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, and they keep Captain Marvel keeps being called the Annihilator by the Kree people. So, Uh so there's that. It's very weird. It's not really explained yet. And then there's like a fight sequence because the bad guys come to this new planet that they're on to try and take their water. And so there's a fight, and Kamala's doing her fighting, and the prince is like, use your scarf. So apparently the scarf that they give her, the new scarf that they give her with her new outfit, is like this weird fabric that's also like a solid that can be used as like a weapon. It's very weird. But she tells her that, and then she's instantly able to use it like a pro. It's like, where did the fucking skill to use this thing come from? It's not explained. It's just weird. So it's, then I wrote Marvel no powers question mark, and then I wrote never mind, because there was a shot where it seemed like Captain Marvel had her powers drained by the main villain, but apparently not. It was because she was immediately back to using her powers. So it's like, okay. So then it turns out that the next thing is that it turns out that those organisms are eggs. They were eggs, and they were from Goose. So Goose just had a bunch of little flirkin cat thing alien babies. So that was cool. And at this point, the space station's having a lot of malfunctions from like these weird radioactive surges or whatever, these electro surges happening throughout the universe. So they're like, well, we've only got a couple of escape pods, and we've got like a couple hundred crew. So once they realize that they're eggs, Fury has the idea to have Goose and the babies, the Flurkins, eat all the crew to then puke them back out on Earth. So that it's easier to fit a bunch of cats into the escape pods than it is to fit 300 people into those few escape pods that they've got. So then there's a sequence of the Flurkins eating the crew, and it's weirdly filmed and framed as like a horror sequence. It was very interesting. It was it was kind of funny because it was like a comedy horror sequence. So that was interesting. And then it's the villains show up because then they realize that the villains are attacking places that Captain Marvel calls home, or where people that she loves are and whatnot. And so they come to our solar system, and they realize, oh, they're trying to take our sun. So then they, that's what they come up with their plan. They get all the people off the station. And Captain Marvel and Rambo and Kamala come up with their plan to stop her. That they got to get that other bangle from her and all that. Then they go off to do that, and Fury with Kamala's parents and brother try to get on an escape pod to get back to Earth. And as they're going in, the hole that they're trying to suck the sun through, it starts trying to suck in their ship, and it's like it blows them away or something. It's whatever. So then as they're re-entering the atmosphere, the ship's burning, they're spinning out of control. The brother is like praying, and Fury looks back at him. He's like, "Are you praying?" And then the brother stops, and he's like, well, don't stop. Shit, we need all the help we can get. Damn, keep praying. Like, amen, amen. I'm not doing a good job. I'm jumping around a lot more than the movie does. The movie works very well. The movie goes very well. I'm just kind of more jumping around, not doing like a full like event. Like I'm not doing like an event by event recount. Like there's the fight on the planet where they're trying to take the water. And then it's like a couple of scenes, and then it's like, oh, they're coming to Earth, blah, 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 blah. And then before that, there's a different planet where they're on where they take... So Captain Marvel's called the Annihilator because after her movie and all that stuff, she went back to the planet that she was on, Hala, destroyed the Central Intelligence from the Captain Marvel movie, which then caused the civil war on that planet, and now that planet's inhospitable. Like they have no sun anymore. Their atmosphere isn't breathable. It's poison. The people are dying and whatnot. So then that's why the main villain is like the first thing we see them do is like steal the atmosphere from another planet. Yeah, they're stealing the atmosphere from one planet, and then they go to the other planet where the language is song, and they're stealing the water from that planet, and so then they're trying to steal the sun from Earth. So yeah, so that all this stuff is happening. So yeah, so Fury makes the praying joke, and it was funny. Then there's like the final fight between the three girls and the main villain, who's also a girl. But yeah, and I wrote down final fight choreography good because the fighting choreography in the final fight is pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. It was actually really good, a really good fight sequence. Them like using their powers and whatnot and teleporting, switching places and all that. It's very cool. And then like it ends up with like the villain trapped into some rubble. She gets stabbed, and the good guy tried to like convince her like, hey, if you're trying to get your son started, well, Captain Marvel can restart your son with her powers. You know, blah blah blah. But it's a fake out. The villain doesn't actually want to do that. She's just faking him out. So then she tricks them. She attacks them. Captain Marvel and Kamala accidentally use their powers at the same time and swap places. So then the main villain gets Kamala like in a tight spot and basically forces her to, they have to let her take the other bangle. And then the villain, now that she has both bangles, she has the ability to open up a big enough hole to suck the sun or whatever into the thing. But something doesn't happen. It doesn't go the way she was planning, and it accidentally opens up a jump point hole into a parallel universe or parallel reality. So yeah, and which basically instantly kills the main villain of the movie. So I wrote villain dead from bangles. Then a space time hole. So yeah, it opens up a hole in space time. Rambo realizes that like they have Marvel, both the Marvels, Miss and Captain Marvel have to shoot her with enough energy that she can absorb, so that way she can go onto the other side of the hole that's in space time that's been opened and blow it back together from the other side. So, they do that. She goes on the other side, and then and they realize that like, wait, she's gonna be stuck on the other side, and she's like, well, yeah, I knew that. That's what was gonna had to happen. Captain Marvel tries to like get to her to save her. It doesn't get there in time. It closes. Boom. So Rambo is stuck in a different reality. Then Kamala goes back to Earth, lets Fury know what happened, and then it cuts to they ask like what happened to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and they're like, oh, she went to fulfill a promise. So then it cuts to her going to Hala, flying through their sun, restarting their sun. Bang bang boom. That's all set. And that's basically the end of the movie. That's the end of like the core movie. Then we see our first credit scene. First after credits, post. It's Kamala Khan. We see Kate Bishop entering her hideout, her house, whatever. Kate Bishop is, for those who don't know, is the Young Avengers Hawkeye. She's Hawkeye's like prodigy. No, not prodigy. Yeah, prodigy or disciple, whatever you want to call her. Um, she she goes into her home, and then Kamala Khan's sitting on a chair in her house, and basically it's just a one-to-one reference reenactment of when Nick Fury first showed up in Iron Man's house at the end of the first Iron Man movie. And she also references Ant-Man's daughter, implying that she wants to recruit her as well. So there's that. And then we get the next after credit scene, which is Monica in the in the other reality, is in a hospital bed or in like a bed in some sort of area, wakes up and sees her mother. Her mother, who looks a lot younger and whatnot, starts freaking out like, "Oh my god, it's you!" Blah 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 blah. And then we see Beast from X-Men come in, who is being played by the original Beast actor. I think it's Kelsey Grammer, something like that. And they're talking about how, like, "Oh, we found you. We thought, we blah blah." And they you basically break down like exactly what happened, and then realize that this is not actually Monica's mom. It is her, but it's like a different version of her where she doesn't have a child, and she's a superhero who goes by the name Binary, who has a pretty cool outfit and has both of the bangles on her. She's wearing both of the bangles. Very interesting. So, and it's basically, and Beast talks about something about Charles, basically referencing X-Men, Charles Xavier, this, that, and the other. I'll probably get better with my note taking as I do this more, because I do plan on doing this more whenever I watch shows and watch different movies. Overall, honestly, a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. I thought the movie was gonna be a super cringy female empowerment like type movie, but it wasn't. It was a fairly chill, fairly standard movie, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was really good. I thought it was there was some scenes and some shots where the CGI was a bit meh. There was a couple of scenes, but for the most part, the CGI was good. The acting was all right. Kamala can come off a little bit heavy with the cringe sometimes, but not all the time. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was a fairly good. I thought it was a fairly good movie. I thought it was a pretty damn good movie. I think it's definitely worth a watch if you're a Marvel fan, and even if you're not, I think like you can, you. It's hard to say if like you should watch it if you're not familiar with at least some stuff. Like I feel like you'd need to at least see like the first Captain Marvel movie. You'd have to watch WandaVision and Miss Marvel. And then I think after that you could kind of just go on with watching it from there. Cuz I don't know how, cuz this has to take place before Secret Invasion, because it takes place immediately after the Miss Marvel show, unless the Miss Marvel show and Secret Invasion were happening at the exact same time. But I don't think so, because Fury doesn't have the beard. He doesn't look as old. He's not acting as like tired and shit as he was in Secret Invasion. So overall, it is what I think it's a good movie, worth a watch. I'd say on the grand scale, what would I give it out of 10? Out of 10, I'd give the Marvels, I think, a solid 7. I think a solid 7 is pretty good for this movie, because it's not a bad movie. It's a pretty damn good movie. It's a damn good movie. And I would totally recommend it to people to watch. I think it's pretty fucking good. What the fuck? Yeah. So, and with that being said, I'm gonna stop the recording and get into and go back to just streaming, playing and whatnot, you know. But yeah, that was pretty fun. This will be going up tomorrow.